Basic psychology. The nature-nurture debate. The role of nature. 1. Have you heard of the term nativism in psychology?
No, I'm not familiar with that. What does it mean?
Nativism is the view that we're born with certain innate, pre-programmed behaviors and understandings. It was first proposed by René Descartes in the 17th century.
That's interesting. What kind of evidence supports the nativist view?
Genetic studies have shown that the closer people are genetically, the more likely they are to develop similar behaviors, even for things like schizophrenia and criminal tendencies.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Can you give me an example?
Sure, twin studies have found that the concordance rate for certain behaviors is much higher in genetically identical twins compared to non-identical twins.
I see. And what about evolutionary explanations for nativism?
Evolutionary psychologists suggest that behaviors and characteristics that promote survival and reproduction are naturally selected and passed on through generations.
Like Bowlby's attachment theory, where attachment behaviors are adaptive for an infant's survival.
Exactly. Bowlby proposed that attachment behaviors are naturally selected because they foster close relationships and increase the chances of survival. The role of nature. 2. Did you know that the debate between nature and nurture has been a central topic in psychology for centuries?
No, I didn't. Can you tell me more about it?
Absolutely. The behaviorist view, championed by philosophers like John Locke, sees newborn infants as a blank slate, with all behavior being shaped by experience.
Interesting. So, they believe that our behavior is entirely learned?
Yes, that's right. Behaviorists like B.F. Skinner used concepts like classical and operant conditioning to explain how learning occurs, including the development of attachment.
Wow, I didn't realize that attachment could be explained through conditioning. What about other perspectives?
Well, social learning theory, proposed by Albert Bandura, acknowledges that biology does play a role, but emphasizes the importance of environmental influences, both direct and indirect.
So, social learning theory suggests that we learn behaviors through observation and imitation, even if we don't experience the consequences directly?
Exactly. Bandura recognized that things like aggression might have a biological component, but the way we express it is heavily influenced by our environment and social interactions. The Interactionist Approach. The Interactionist approach sits between nature and nurture, arguing that both genetics and the environment play a part in behavior.
Oh, that's interesting. Can you give me an example of how this works?
Sure, let's look at intelligence. The interactionist approach says we have a genetic predisposition to attain a certain level of intelligence, but the environment determines how much of that potential we can actually reach.
I see. So things like diet, education, and parenting can impact our intelligence, even if we have a genetic advantage?
Exactly. Studies have shown that factors like poor nutrition, brain injury, and inadequate education can limit the expression of our genetic potential for intelligence.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. It's not just about nature or nurture, but a combination of the two.
Precisely. The interactionist approach recognizes the complex interplay between our genes and the environment in shaping our behavior and abilities. Nature-nurture evaluation. The diathesis-stress model is often used to explain this debate. It suggests that people may be born with certain genes that predisposition them to develop a mental disorder, but the expression of these genes depends on environmental stressors.
Interesting. So it's not just about genetics or just about the environment, but a combination of both?
Exactly. Research has shown that even in identical twins, both may not develop a disorder, even if one already has it. This suggests that the expression of a gene depends on experience or psychological stressors.
That makes sense. But it must be really difficult to separate the two and determine what's causing a behavior.
You're right. It's incredibly challenging. Even in identical twin studies, the similar upbringing and environment may be a factor in the higher concordance rates.
So it's not as simple as just saying it's nature or nurture. There's a lot of interplay between the two.
Absolutely. Some researchers have even suggested that nature may affect nurture, where a child's genetic predisposition can evoke a certain response from their environment, which then becomes part of their upbringing.